Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. And me, Chantelle, your hostess for the mostest. Awesome guests and viewers. I claim my throne for that one. Jessica, who's sitting in the back. we both have awesome guests and viewers, but for that one, I will claim my throne tonight. That's for sure. So really good to see everybody in the chat. Yay, so nice to see you and all my beautiful wenches with wrenches. Thank you so much, Joanne. I see you're awake. That's some godforsaken hour there in the middle of Australia. But wonderful and really great to have you all here again. And I have with me the beautiful Jessica, and I haven't seen you for a few weeks, Jessica, so it's really good to have you back. How are you, lovely lady?
Hey, it is so good to be here. Thank you for having me back on. I've been great. I've been super busy doing a bunch of research, doing shows, speaking at events. I'm all over the place. I've been traveling all over the place talking about Bigfoot and Dogman, you know.
I love catching your shows, but so often, you have I don't know, it's like 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. or something for me. I think there's one you have on a Monday that I can usually sometimes catch. I love obviously catching the lives. It's nice to see everyone, but I know I haven't seen you guys for a couple of weeks in there. Because I've been gallivanting, but not really, just a little bit. And it's great to see everybody here again. And for those of you that I haven't seen before, happy 2025. I think the year is going to be rocking, and I look forward to it. So what's 2025 have in store for you, young lady? I think you are so full of things happening this year. So what's happening?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've just been booked for a whole bunch of events and stuff. So I don't know. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants right now. I don't know, going with the flow. And yeah, it's starting out to be a very busy year. So yeah, I mean, we just had the inauguration of our new president, who is a former president here in the U.S. yesterday. And so I don't know. It's going to be a wild year. I'm already predicting it. It's going to be a very wild year. So hopefully for the best. I hope.
For sure. I definitely think so. I think last year was a watershed year for a lot of people. We had to get rid of a lot of baggage last year. And this year, I think it's going to be easier because I think a lot of people have woken up. I think when we first start waking up, it's difficult because what I find with a lot of people that I speak to as well is that they feel alone. They feel like no one gets where they're at, especially when they start opening up to the underbelly of the world and then get accused of being conspiracy theorists. And then, of course, having the family not want you around because you're talking crazy to grandma on Sunday. Stuff like that. So it's a lot of people feel lost and stuff, but it's wonderful because we actually we're finding our tribe. And I think, with us doing shows like this, it really brings the tribe together, which is amazing. So yeah.
For sure. Oh yeah.
So we have got a super interesting topic tonight. And I've been watching a few things on that. So that's why I'm glad we can chat about this evening, which of course is the colonization of not only Venus, but Mars as well, right? The human colonization of these planets and Mars and Venus in particular, and the moon. I'm seeing that they've even been able to grow little Earth plants on the moon. So now that's made the moon eligible for human colonization, but the only thing is it's not humans colonizing. These are not humans. When you're looking at the stuff, you see Elon Musk sending robots to build all sorts of things like, hello, we're the human beings. They're not there. But anyway, I just find it super, super interesting. And I'd just love to know your take on that. And I know you had a very interesting interview with Akim Ra not too long ago on this as well. So tell us what you got, girls. Spill that tea on Mars.
Well, I had some very interesting remote viewing targets that Akim has given me. And I trained him into teaching him how to give me coordinate remote viewing targets. So just coordinate targets. And I've been trained for many years in what's called remote viewing, and I really enjoy. And now that he's started giving me targets, I really enjoy these targets he gives me because they're blind. I don't know what they are. They're just a set of numbers. Okay, and that's all I get. He gave me last year the robot grandma target, which was a true story out of Mount Shasta. He's given me underground cloning facilities in Davenport, Iowa. Okay, like, and I gotta preface this by saying that Arkeem has been a part of the secret space program. Okay, since he was a child, and he has been part of Not Wappin, a part of Project Phoenix, the Montauk Project, and he and I actually spent a week in Montauk, New York, with him at Camp Hero, where the Montauk program took place, and so he's become a good friend of mine. Okay, and I love Arkeem to death, but he has some very wild. I mean, just these memories of being in these programs is just, it's tragic in a lot of ways, but it's also fascinating.
It is fascinating, you know, and the more we hear these stories from the survivors, it really just makes me realize how powerful the human spirit is. That we can actually, you know, looking at people like him and so many others, you know, you've come through that. There's so much torture. There's so much abuse. There's so much soul torture, spiritual torture, you know, how these guys even find their way back to normality, to me, is a miracle. And so I love seeing these miracles because I love to hear their stories and, you know, for them to expose it. And I agree with you. Akim is extremely interesting, and I've got to tell you, I believe every word he's saying. There's not one word I don't believe. And I was watching the story, obviously, where he talks about the cannibalism. I'll say it because we talk about that topic often on this show. You know, it's very real when it comes to these rituals and things, and obviously that also leading up to the whole Mars Venus colonization, because really, isn't it at the end of the day the same creatures? Or I want to call them creatures that are doing it, that have been doing it here, and that are planning to do it. They already are doing it there. Who the heck knows? Some say that it's already been colonized. So what's your take on that?
Oh, yeah, well, that is interesting you say that, and you asked that, because he had given me also two targets last year of a jump room to Venus and a jump room to Mars. And these are based out of, this was what he remembers being in California. And I believe it was near Santa Monica, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, somewhere along the coast of California, down in Southern California, kind of. And I these are blind targets. We confirmed that we do believe those are real. And you know, the beauty of he and I working together is, like, he doesn't know. He doesn't have proof. He knows, but he doesn't have proof that these things are real. And so when he gives me these blind targets and I'm honing in on exactly what he recalls, it makes for a good pair. Okay. It makes for a good team to explore some of these topics. Absolutely. So there are jump rooms to Venus and Mars, in my opinion, according to my data.
No, okay. When we talk about a jump room, I'm assuming we're talking like a little bit like a teleportal thing, right?
Yes.
The thing I want to find, that thing that I want to find, right? Are we talking about the same thing?
The portal, where you need to go find one and come up here to hang out with us. In
I don't want to be to Mars and Venus, so I must just be very, very sure that I take the right
US in a portal.
Exactly. Okay, so they've got jump rooms, like obviously where they stand there and then zoom. How long does it take them to get to Mars or Venus? Because from what I'm seeing, it's a few million miles apart, and it's going to take forever to get there in an aeroplane. So there have to be something like this, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fast. I don't remember what he said about how quick you get there, but I mean, I would think it'd be almost instantaneous personally. But I believe we got in the conversation about, I think it was Andrew Basiago and Obama. Okay, had gotten these. They had something to do with these jump rooms. Okay, going there, and I don't know if Arkeem remembers them being there or what, but they had use it. And maybe Andrew Basiago had actually talked about them. I'm not sure. And he was heavily involved with Project Pegasus. If you're familiar with that, that is where they were doing time travel experiments with children. And he claims to have gone back to the Lincoln. Okay, when President Lincoln gave his, I think it was his Gettysburg Address during the Civil War. Okay, that during that era in the 1800s, there are pictures that he claims are him as a child at that Gettysburg Address. Okay, wow. And he actually talks about how he when he showed up there, because they were teleporting children back into time and through time to go give messages to the presidents, to go watch to see, like when President Lincoln, for instance, was shot at a theater. They were sending children back in time to the scene of the crime on different timelines to see who had shot him. And it was like 80% of the time it was John Wilkes Booth. Another percentage of the time it was his wife. And another percentage of the time it was someone else. Okay. And so these are the experiments they were doing. This is the stuff they were capable of back then. This was in the 70s or 80s. I don't even know when Project Pegasus was. It was I guess it had to have been in the 70s or 80s. But anyways, that's what we're dealing with. Okay. So I wanted to set the stage.
Wow.
Right.
That is, I mean, yeah. Okay. I have so much to say about that, but I don't want to get off track because I can get off track.
Mm-hmm.
So what and that could well be a story for another day for sure. In fact, I think it has to be. But let's talk about then what we know about the colonization of Venus and stuff, because I know he's also been there, and of course Elon Musk involved as well. And there's a lot of 50-50 split, I think, between Elon, how people feel about Elon's involvement in what's going on with all of this. So what do you think about that?
All right. Well, Arkeem gave me a really interesting remote viewing target, and it dealt with, and what it is it's called the Musk Genetic Experimentation and Cloning Facility in the atmosphere of Venus. Now that sounds strange, right? In the atmosphere of Venus, what is that? And so after I did this target and I sent him all the data, not knowing what it was, I just kept telling him, I said, I feel like I keep getting parallel reality data. There's something like in a parallel reality. I don't know what this is, but it's wild. And I'm going to go over some of that data in just a minute. But when he told me what it was, that it was a cloning facility, an experimental facility that he remembers being in, it was floating in a facility above Venus in the atmosphere, he said. Okay, well, this is interesting that he said that, because I started digging into doing the research, because we did a show on this together. When I was doing the research on it, I started finding out that Venus is not inhabitable on the planet, according to what they say. Now, I've been told that there's underground, they have facilities there and stuff, and people have been living there for a long time. People are from Venus, actually. Like they say, Nikola Tesla is from Venus. Valiant Thor is from Venus. They had a whole group of people at the White House in the United States that were from Venus. They say Elon Musk is from Venus. Okay, so Arkeem had memories of being there, but not on the planet. He was above the planet in a facility. Well, I started doing my research on this before the show, and I did my research, and I found out that SpaceX and NASA have been working together for several years on colonizing Venus. And I got a bunch of information on Venus and like what's habitable, what's not. Apparently, it's like hell for us humans on Venus. If you were to go to hell right now, not go to hell, I'm at Venus. It would be like going into hell. And by that, I mean the conditions are bad. It's too hot. Let me go over some stats real quick, okay? Because people are asking, well, could it be colonized? We've always been told no, right? But that's NASA, never a straight answer, right? NASA says, and I don't know how much I believe everything NASA says these days, but that's just me. But they say the gravity is similar to Earth. let me get my papers here. The gravity is similar to Earth, but there's a lot of carbon dioxide. Oxygen can be extracted from it. Which could shelter people from radiation, the dense atmosphere they have there. But there are large quantities of carbon dioxide, which create an extreme greenhouse effects. And the temperatures are just too hot. Okay. The atmospheric pressure is like being 900 meters under the ocean here on Earth. I mean, it would be just too much pressure. You would explode. Your head would explode. Okay. You would be squashed like a bug, basically. But the upper atmosphere has acid rain. Okay. So that's not safe. And I guess the wind is so strong there, according to what they say, that it would blow anything over. So you can't build anything there because it would all get blown over. So why would anybody want to colonize it? Well, it's kind of the same. It's almost the same size as Earth, I believe. I think it's a little bit smaller. And you can colonize it. You can live in the upper atmosphere. Okay. And so Elon Musk and NASA were working on airships to go, like huge airships of colonies of people. Now, I got to tell you, this is wild, because when Arkeem and I first started doing work together, he kept telling me that he recalls living and being in airships, like the Zeppelins, like the Lindenberg Zeppelin we had here in the US that crashed. That's the only one we really hear about. These huge Zeppelins, like the Goodyear blimp, okay, that we have here that floats around the football stadiums and stuff.
Yeah.
He recalled being in airships. And so how odd is that? What a coincidence, right? That it's like, he recalls airships. We've talked about doing shows just on airships before, he and I, and then he gives me this target. And I don't know if he'd ever made that connection. I don't even know I didn't know what he knew about this. But Elon Musk and NASA have been working on actual airships to have people live there. It's also, if you watch cartoons, if you're into, I got a kid, and I know we've got kids, and they watch movies like WALL-E. Okay. It's almost like a soft disclosure. They have airships that go up into space to take all the humans off of Earth when Earth is uninhabitable. And all the humans get all fat and stuff. They lose their muscle mass because they're just up there drinking, sodas and eating candy and stuff. So they show us this already in the.
That's show. Exactly it, because that's exactly what they're saying is happening on. Is it Mars or Venus? I can't remember which one, because I was listening. That is also minus 60 degrees Celsius. I mean, Celsius. That's like Siberia cold. Yeah.
Well, according to what I was researching, it's actually hot on Venus. It may be cold on Mars.
Oh, right.
I don't have the stats on Mars. Yeah. I just have Venus.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody in the chat would know. We always have the smartest chats, man. Everybody in here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was definitely one of them that I was listening to, and I couldn't remember now if it was Mars or Venus, where it was talking about it's minus 60 degrees Celsius. I mean, that is like not even Siberia is that cold. It can turn someone into an ice block in a minute, and they have to wear these like hazmat-looking suity things, which is wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, so in some articles that you can find online, they're talking about how SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, and NASA have been working together to colonize Venus. And what they were planning on doing was getting in the way upper atmosphere of Venus. They said that it's around 85 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit there, which is 30 to 50 degrees Celsius. And they were planning, and this is what they said they were planning on doing. That means they've probably already done it. Okay, this is what they said they were planning on doing. Building floating habitats behind the clouds. That was what they were planning.
Yes,
they said they've been working on high altitude Venus high altitude Venus operational concept, an airship which is 34 meters by 432 meters in height and length. They say that nitrogen oxygen mix would enable the airship to float above. So they're planning on doing something that the nitrogen and oxygen weighs less than what's in their atmosphere, because the atmosphere is so dense. Wow. So it could just float there indefinitely, I guess. I mean, I don't know how they'd have to. I would think they'd have to refuel this, like have some kind of refueling station at some point. But they were going to be, it says they were going to use solar power from the sun to, yeah. So they're planning on using solar power to help energize it. Okay, power.
Is it, again, I get confused between Mars and Venus because they're talking about, I think this might have been Mars, because they've then got the robots going there, creating little igloos and things, different types of colonies. That's on Mars.
It's Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've got this whole thing waxed. Now, I'm sorry, for me, if anyone wants to take me off this planet and put me on a hotspot, whatever that thing is, and zoom me off to Mars, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy because it's like, it's robotic. You're no longer a human. To be able to live in those conditions, you're not human. You can't be human anymore. They would have had to do something that's going to transition your DNA or transhuman you to be able to adapt to those different conditions, right?
Yeah. Well, they do that to super soldiers all the time, and that's how Arkeem came about giving me this target that he gave me, because he was part of the super soldier programs, multiple programs, time traveling programs, teleportation programs, assassination programs and stuff, utilizing portals. His big thing is, he's talked about doing some really horrible things for during the secret space program. He also talked about Elon Musk doing some really horrible things as well. And I think that it was really, really cool of him actually during the show to state, I remember Elon Musk doing that. And I usually don't drop names too much, but I remember him doing these like horrible things while we were up there. He's like, but I also did horrible things. And so that was a different reality. And so I'm not accusing him of being that way now, just like he's not that way now. We have to understand, and it's hard for the average person to wrap their head around all this, right? It really is.
It is very hard.
It is, but I told you in the beginning, I was getting all this alternate reality, parallel reality data, right? And it's like multi-dimensional data. And it's like another dimension. Okay. It's like we're working in another dimension here. I guess. Yeah.
Wow. Absolutely. For me, as you say, just sort of going back, this is such a difficult thing for the average person to wrap their head around, but the more we're hearing these stories, stories like from Arkim, Caleb Jade, Jesse Zabota, we're hearing people that have done all this, and many more that have done all this interdimensional traveling and sorcery, high-level magic, all of that. This is stuff that happens fast in fairy tales. So for sure, it's going to take a while for people to absolutely wrap their heads around this. And that's why, I understand when he tells a story like that, I guess he must feel like, gosh, how do I tell this, without seeming like I'm crazy? But it's so true. And I know he was saying something about hanging from meat hooks.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. That's just crazy.
He did. It's really difficult for him to talk about this. And you can imagine he has been, people have not been so kind to him, especially when he first came out online about this stuff. And a lot of the people in this, giving testimony about their experiences with the secret space programs, it's very difficult for people to speak their truth when their truth is so foreign to the average person. And so that's why I have really enjoyed doing remote viewing with some of these, survivors of these programs, because I can, and this is all unbeknownst to me because I don't know what these targets are, but to be able to hone in on it has been pretty cool for me. And so he said that he had memories of being in this facility and Waking up, he said he woke up and he was being suspended from his back, I believe, from meat hooks. And he said that what he recalled was that it was Elon. Okay. And when he's telling the story, he was like, I am not accusing Elon Musk in this reality of doing this. Okay. It's but this is a memory that he has from being there in this program. And he said that he was kind of toying with him and saying, "Hey, buddy, how's that feel?" Stuff like just kind of playing around with them and stuff. And he said that he was having memories of being at, I don't know if this is the same facility. There's some kind of, it's like a mansion, right? Some kind of mansion, some kind of big home that had like a big yard, and it's where they used to like hunt children and stuff. He said that you can actually go there today and there's like hunting stands all around the property where they would actually do, I want to call it like wild hunts, I guess, with children. And things like that. So he remembered that. And he said that it was where he remembers the whole family being there, like the Musk family, okay, the parents and.
Well, that's very interesting also, because you all know Elon Musk is a South African, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and I've said this before, which is very interesting. And because us as South Africans, we grew up so isolated from the rest of the world. Because of all the sanctions we had against us, we were never allowed to engage with international people. But Elon Musk has always been, the minute his name became well known overseas, has always been one of our little proud exports, so to speak. But he went to Pretoria Boys High, which is one of the elite schools in South Africa, which is probably, it's in the top 3 schools, right? And I know one of my friends was actually, they used to do army drill at school, right? And he was Elon's corporal, I don't know, whatever they do, and we used to have some laughs about that. He said, Elon could not run very fast. I said, okay, well, if that's the worst thing about Elon, then we're good. But anyway, and I remember that there was a story where now Pretoria Boys is also predominantly Afrikaans. Now I say this to you because I'm trying to sort of give you the narrative, sort of give you the picture that Afrikaans and English people in this country are very different. It's like we often live on 2 different planets. Mm-hmm. Afrikaans is a lot more conservative, right? So they're a lot more, I mean, they think I'm the biggest witch that ever hit the planet. They're super conservative and religious and stuff like that. And apparently there was this big thing because Elon was seen levitating. Apparently they used to see him levitate, which used to freak these guys out completely. So he was very isolated, and even he will talk about hating it, because he was very bullied apparently. But that's kind of like why. But we also know now, understanding as well, that these guys in the system, they don't get on airplanes and fly places, okay? They travel through, obviously, portals and things like that. Jessie Zabota, for those of you who have been listening to my shows, Jessie has definitely spoken. I mean, she's openly spoken about training with Elon. He is one of the elite bloodlines. And she was in the same cell with him. So it was her, Elon, one of the Rothschilds. I'm not sure which one. I think there were 2 Rothschilds, and her training partner, who's Lucian Greaves, head of the Satanic Church at this point in time. Anyway, so they all trained together, and they did. Now, I don't know if you've watched our stuff on the Simpsons predictions. Okay. There's 3 groups of kids that come together, and they would literally predict exactly what you're talking about, going in the past and changing things to see. But that's how they would get these 3 groups of kids to work together to actually predict events like we're seeing in The Simpsons, right? So Elon and Jessie were part of that as well. And Elon's mother is a Namibian, okay? Her father and she's one of a twin, which is very, very interesting because we know that the twins, they do very freaky things with twins in the system, right? Mm-hmm. She's one of a twin, and her father is a well-known Nazi, around here. And I've no doubt that they obviously had a lot of connections in terms of witchcraft to Africa as well. Elon's father divorced the mom and married their adopted daughter, who was something like, I don't know how many years younger than him, and they've had a child. And he, in fact, has had emerald mines in Tanzania, yeah, in Africa, which I'm always wondering, how is that connected? But anyway, so I'm just giving you that. That's Elon's background, as you know, because as a South African, he's definitely elite bloodlines. He's definitely been connected in the system here. He's trained with Jessie. She's in fact written in her affidavit, you know, these 12-year-old rituals that these kids do, the boys, is very, very disturbing. I mean, that's their first act of conscious, I think you call it conscious cannibalism, where they actually unalive a child then and they consume that child. And that's when they make their first conscious demonic contracts before they are forced upon them by the others. Yes, but at 12, you're considered an adult. And Elon was part of that as well. Now, you can't say, I don't want to say for sure. I mean, has he changed? I hope so. We all hope so, you know. This is what we speak about. But if he has, I don't know. And Venus, that whole Venus thing is very interesting as well. Venus, why Venus? I mean, why Venus?
I don't know. Well, I actually I saw some clips. I didn't have a lot of time yesterday to like watch the inauguration festivities and things like that, but I've seen clips that people have been playing today on social media of Elon acting a little strange. Okay, from doing this like strange arm gesture, which was reminiscent of like the Fourth Reich kind of. It was weird. But some people, everybody's arguing today over like, what did he do that for? Like maybe he said something about he's just got a lot of love for people and he got excited, but it's just weird. Okay. And knowing what I know about the secret space program, it is heavily, it's got a lot of German ties to it. Some of it does. Okay. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Well, hello. I mean, his mother, his maternal side of his bloodline is very, call it German. Should we call it German? But I think
German, that's what I call it. Yeah.
What we can say about that, yeah. But absolutely, so it would make perfect sense. It would make perfect sense in terms of that. But hey, listen, anyone who wants to put a chip in my brain,
right?
And put chips in a monkey's brain to play monkey pong, because that's what he did as well. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't, because if somebody is doing that, it means you have not trusted the will of God. You have not trusted the divine creator. You are now taking something and you are playing God, in my opinion. That is somebody who's playing God. To develop a chip, obviously these people are smart. We know that. These creatures of the night are unbelievably clever. They've got technology from 1 million years ago. And I mean, that is it's not even that it's magic. It's just that the technology is so way ahead of our time that we think it's magic, right? They're using this technology, telling us humans, you need a chip in your brain to be healthy. And I'm going, screw you. I don't need a chip in my brain to be healthy at all. I have my self, my creator, my body, my intelligence, my spirit. I mean, it's kind of like AI versus your own soul, your own spirit, right?
Right. I'm team human. Okay. We're all team human over here. I'm not really excited about robots and transhumanism. Okay. And I am not getting a chip in my brain. Hopefully I don't. I mean, I was gonna say, hopefully I don't already have one. I don't know what they've done to us. Just kidding. But no, I'm 100% team human. Okay. And so yeah, I've something is just off with all of that to me. And my gut, my heart, my soul screams out that there's just something wrong with all of that. And I'm not down for it. Yeah.
But if he's having robots create, sorry, robots creating colonies in Mars,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
setting up, testing the soil and the dust and the this and the that to see if humans can be growing food there, and now putting hydroponic stations in there so that you can grow food hydroponically. I mean, hydroponically, you're not getting nearly the nutrition and anything that you need. They're painting this picture to be so super high tech and so super advanced, you know, but it's taking the soul out of everything, absolutely everything. That's the way I see it. And anyone who wants to put a chip in my brain and put me on a what do you call that thing? A teleport station to Venus. I'm
Jump
not
room.
going.
It's a jump room.
Jumping.
Yeah. You know,
No.
our team gave us some really good information before. He said that any place that has one of those nautical stars, I don't know if it's like a 7-pointed star, some sort of a very decorative looking star. They have that in the foyer or in the front of a hotel. They have it in the CIA, actually, one of the 3-letter agencies has it in the lobby of their main office building. I think of all their office buildings, it's a star. That is an indication that there is a Stargate there and that there's a jump room there. And he said to always pay attention. He'd be very careful about hotels you stay at and things like that too. You know, he says that he's actually been in a hotel room before and a portal opened up in his wall and they were able to come get him out of rooms and stuff and take him places. I mean, that's maybe how some of this trafficking is being done too with people. So,
Wow. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah,
Sure.
also, I did want to note, I thought it was really interesting because I believe it was Elon Musk was talking about how they were taking 3D printers to Mars, and that's how they were going to be building all of their buildings there, was through a 3D printer. They don't have to take anything but a 3D printer, basically, to set up a colony there, which is wild. But yeah, they're getting there by jump rooms and portals and wormholes, I guess.
Are they telling us this though? I mean, are humans even questioning how are we going to get to Mars? Or that's what I'm saying. So it's like I'm assuming that the average human is thinking we're going to climb on Concords and get there in 3 days.
Okay, that's really interesting because I had done a remote viewing target, which was the Apollo 11 moon landing, and I got a proverbial knock at my door and told to keep my mouth shut 2 hours before I was going to do a show about it. Oh, my throat is getting clogged up when I'm starting to talk about it. I was told to watch what I say, that I had people watching, that I needed to be very careful about what I said. Now, I went on with my show. I kind of left some information out, but I put it all in my Patreon because I was like, well, I guess I'll put it here. The only thing I can say about that is I believe that there have been people on the moon, of course. I think that they got there a different ways than what we've been told. And that was a big part of that data. I don't care at this point. I'd talk about everything. They're not getting there by spaceships. I just don't think they're getting there. I think they're using Stargates and stuff. I mean, this was from a couple of years ago. This is before I ever met. I didn't even know what the secret space program was back then. I'd never heard of it when I did that target on that one. So yeah, they're not taking spaceships up there. I don't think.
No, for sure not. I mean, it's Mars is already inhabited. You know, fully exposed to people. It's true. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm hearing there's already people there, you know. I'd be interested to know if anyone out there knows for sure. I mean, I know that we're hearing these things, but do we have solid intel that, in fact, there are people there? And I'd be interested to know as well, because with the different types of climates and stuff like that, you know, they're talking about wearing these hazmat suits and shields and things. I mean, my gosh. Here's actually something Michelle Whitney's saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dennis. We will pay the price with our humanity if we're not careful. That's exactly what I'm saying. And you know what's scary for me? You know, I'm still old school. I'm old generation, you know. I mean, as I always say, you know, we wrote letters and paper and folded up in aeroplanes and shot it across the classroom, right? That's how we
Me too.
communicated. But the youngsters of today, this stuff to them is so cool. This is like super uber cool. It means because it's kind of like a lazy life if you think about it. You know, when we were at school, we weren't even allowed to use calculators, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were not even allowed to use calculators. So if you think about from there to where it is now, that everything is online, all information, exams, tests, everything is online. Like it's
It
not
just
good.
speeds those. Yeah. You don't have to think so hard anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm.
You don't. Well,
Interesting. I mean, do we know? Because I mean, here again, I'm looking at what Janice is saying here. Jesse says Mars is underground. Again, how do we know where these planets are actually situated? Because some are saying they in inner Earth, like underground. Others are saying different dimensions. They're just in a different dimensional space. Others are saying yes, they are separate. What's your take on that? Because I've got to tell you, everything that I've learned in my life, I've had to absolutely take it up, shake it all around, and then decide, okay, it probably fits like that, not like that. So I'd be interested to hear your take on that.
yeah. To me, after doing all of this remote viewing and stuff, I think a lot of things are just multidimensional. Okay. And I'm talking about, I mean, they've even come out publicly with like congressional hearings saying that aliens are interdimensional beings, right? Multidimensional. I mean, I think that humans we all have the capacity to be multidimensional, right? So, you know, I think that's why they keep us in this constant argument of like flat Earth versus globe Earth, right? And stuff
Yeah.
because it keeps everybody super polarized, thinking that everything is like cut and dry. It's either flat Earth and you know physical flat Earth, and there's just and even planets can be beyond the ice wall, right? And that's what I've heard. Maybe the planets are actually beyond the ice wall. We're all just living on this plane here. It's just I feel like everything we've been taught is just not true. Everything
It's
we've been taught.
yeah, and
I think it's
it really is
multidimensional.
for sure. I think it's going to be fun breaking all of this down, you
Yeah.
know, and kind of like seeing what really is true. Yeah, Dennis is saying again that underground is a natural protection against radiation. Um, makes sense to me, and also as well, yeah, they will kill you over that technology without a second thought. Exactly, right? Because it's all about that. Again, you know, this just shows to me how people have lost faith in their own spirit.
Yeah.
They really have. Because that's when you have to rely so heavily on technology. I mean, yes, there's a balance in everything. Hey, I love the fact that we can sit here and chat with each other across the world. Like, this is why I love technology. But when you're looking at it and how it completely takes over, you know, we're dealing with the extremes here. The extremes of not having, you know, not having anything there, and then suddenly there's everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's just interesting to see all the players on the main stage of the world right now. And Elon Musk is right there on like I said on stage, acting a little strange yesterday. At some of these events, and I'm only seeing clips that people are posting online. I'm sure he was totally fine, but there are times, you know, we all act a little weird sometimes, I guess. But it was just odd. It was something to point out because I did it when he gave me this target. He said that it was a ship. It was some sort of a facility that Elon Musk owns. Okay, he's owned it for a long time. So I think that NASA and the fact that NASA and he have put out information, videos, documents. You can find this everywhere. It's not a secret. They've been talking about colonizing Mars and Venus for years. and they have
Yeah,
actively been working towards it.
they have. I mean, we've been hearing about this, and of course, us poor humans are so slow on the uptake. It's like, yeah, whenever, it just becomes like this talk, and then suddenly, boom, here it is. And they've been doing it all the time. They've been doing it all the time. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you'd ask me about like what I think about the planets and like what are they, where are they? Well, in this remote viewing data that I got for this facility, okay, that is, let me read what it is again. The Musk Genetic Experimentation and Cloning Facility on Venus, or in the atmosphere of Venus. And it's owned by Musk. And Arkeem was there. He remembers being there as being part of the secret space program. Okay. And the data that I was getting, I got a lot of data, and I did a show on this on my channel. So if you guys want to see all of it, you can go watch that. But and I've got all the data in my Patreon, of course. But I was picking up on, just over and over again, I was getting parallel universe. I even wrote down parallelograms. Okay, coexisting. I was actually picking up on something. I was picking up on something in the Southwest, like in the Southwestern United States, of course. But I was picking up on, I wrote down flying saucers and stuff like that. But I also was picking up on like portals, another parallel reality bit of data, the edge of time, side by side, transdimensional plane is something I wrote down, a vortex. And I actually was drawing sketches of like what looked like wormholes and portals and stuff. Okay.
Yes.
So that's what I was actually picking up on. And I picked up on something so strange. I had been given a blind target a couple years ago by my friend Barry, and my friend Tanya and I, she's a remote viewer. We were both given these as separate. We were given these targets of Mel's Hole. Now, Mel's Hole is an interesting thing. It's just a hole in the ground. This man named Mel, he called into Coast to Coast AM Art Bell show and talked about how he had this hole in his property that he had been dropping stuff down in. The indigenous people who live there had been using it to throw stuff down for years. He was throwing like appliances down there, and it never hit the bottom. And he couldn't figure out what this hole was. He had actually done an experiment where he had put a weight on a fishing line. It had gone down 15 miles and had still not hit the bottom. And so he called into Art Bell show one night and was like, I got this hole. His name was Mel. Okay. So they called it Mel's Hole. But it was really weird. Once he started talking about this hole that had all these different things were happening with this hole, like a neighbor threw a dead dog down there. Instead of burying it, they just threw the dead dog down there. He said a couple of weeks later, this dog was walking through town. And the owner spotted this dog. It had on the collar, it had on a different, I don't know if it had on the same collar or a different one, but it was the exact same dog, but the dog didn't recognize the owner. It was with somebody else. But it was his dog that he had thrown down this hole, and the dog was dead. Okay, strange things. Just weird stuff. Well, I guess the government heard this conversation. They went and seized his property. And he ended up going to another property down in the Southwest. He ended up finding another hole. And it was wild. The government seized the property, sent him to Australia to go create a wombat farm. And they told him, never come back. We're going to pay for your entire life. Don't ever come back to the United States. Don't speak a word on this. What did the dude do? He ended up coming back to the US, got beaten up, had all his teeth knocked out, and ruined his life. Okay, over this hole. Well, this was a remote viewing target. This ended up coming up in this data for this target that Arkeem gave me. I wrote down cold heat. Ice cubes from Mel's Hole. That was in this data. Okay, let me back up. The data for Mel's Hole was coming back with portal, wormhole, time travel, teleportation. Okay, that's why the government seized it. Radiation was in it. Tanya and I both got the same data for Mel's Hole. Well, I was picking up on the same stuff for whatever this facility is above Venus. I was getting the same type of data, but I wrote down ice cubes from Mel's Hole. Now, what are the ice cubes from Mel's Hole? There was a gentleman who they were doing all these experiments trying to figure out what's going on with this hole. and they put a bag of ice, like a big bucket of ice, down inside of Mel's hole. They dropped it down, and when it came back up, it was like radiated. So this ice was actually, it didn't melt. And so this man, and it had heat to it actually. So this one of the gentlemen that was there, he took this ice home with him, and he heated his cabin with this ice for an entire season until I think his cabin melted. It couldn't have been. I literally think something happened to his cabin. I don't know if it broke, if it caught on fire eventually, or like the radiation made it melt, like Chernobyl. I don't know what happened. It couldn't have been safe. But these ice cubes, it was some kind of I don't know. I don't want to say it was supernatural. There's some kind of scientific reason behind it. But I was coming up with that in this, and I actually wrote down space-time continuum and an overlap. So I'm picking up on like parallel realities, overlapping dimensions, ice cubes from Mel's hole. Whatever was going on in Mel's hole was going on with this. I mean, it's I wrote down the word overlord. So I don't know if that's Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Something that was malignant and malaligned too. So it was like not something that's not good. We'll say like it's more on the evil side of things. That's what I was picking up. I also picked up on, I picked up on a whole bunch of stuff, but at the very end of the data, I wrote down I wrote down Harry Potter, magic, missing time, and a know-it-all. Okay. So that's probably Elon Musk right there. But I was picking up on some kind of magic and stuff too, but it's really cool target. And I think that, it lined up. A lot of the data that I had did line up with the things that Arkeem was talking about, what he remembered.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, especially, did you say 4 miles he put away? And did you say 4 miles that thing fell and it didn't hit the bottom?
15 miles.
15 miles.
15 miles. Yeah. 15. And it was still going. And yes, that's why it's such an anomaly. Mel's hole is that is one of my top watched videos on my remote viewing playlist. Yeah.
That is so interesting because, I mean, it's a physical hole. It's not like it's a spiritual black hole, right? It's a physical hole that if you fall down there, and I mean, I know we spoke about that poor little sheep that was turf down there, and then the dog that came out and didn't know its owner after that as well, because it's like, okay, that would say to me there's some completely different entity that's now crept into that dog's body. So it's a different entity that's taken over the dog,
or it's just a parallel reality. It's some kind of parallel universe or something.
That's actually that in my opinion could be a strong possibility. It's that actually makes sense. But the physical hole, like, how long has it been there? Did something hit the earth? Was it like a meteorite or some, I don't know what, that created this hole? Does anyone know? Has it always just been there?
It's a wormhole. It's always been there. The natives that lived around there said that it's always been there, but it's some sort of like a wormhole, and the government use it. If you go to where people say it is, and Tanya, my friend who is a remote viewer who remote viewed it, I think it's in Washington. I'm pretty sure she lives not too far from there. She actually someone that a mutual friend of ours lives there in this area now. And she said that she knows where it's at. And when you go to the coordinates of the area, it's blurred out on Google Maps. You can't see it. They blurred it.
Wow. So something's there. And they probably don't even know themselves, which is why they're being all dodgy about it. Have they at least covered it up now so kids or something don't fall down there?
It's owned by the government now. I don't know. They're probably going to turn it into a national park. I'm just kidding. And to let we have this epidemic of people going missing in all of our national parks here. And, and so it would just be par for the course to have a place. Maybe that's where some of these missing people are going. I don't know.
That actually makes a lot of sense. A bit like the Bermuda Triangle, right?
Mm-hmm. Mel's
Yeah,
Bermuda Triangle hole. Yeah.
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 Mel's hole. Sounds a lot
Oh
better than
man.
Mel's hole. Like, okay.
Oh my God, Shanti, we did this show. We had people that were complaining because we were laughing we were all three laughing during the show because we were talking about how we were remote viewing Mel's hole. It just sounded weird.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop laughing.
Oh no, that is funny. Yeah.
But it was funny. I know. If you can't laugh, if I'm not laughing, I'm crying over some of this
Yeah,
stuff. So we got to keep good humor about it. But
I agree. I agree. Wow. Wow, what a fascinating topic. And of course, how fascinating about you know, suddenly, and apparently I was also hearing that it's not just Mars and Venus and the Moon that are now up for colonization, but now there's a whole lot of other little planets as well
oh,
around Earth
well, I
that.
can. Oh, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I didn't even think about that. I have been given targets of other dwarf planets that are inhabited by humans. And when I did these targets, and I can tell you which ones they are. I had TRAPPIST 1. There's a dwarf planet, TRAPPIST 1 star system, actually. Also, there's some brown dwarf planets like Maki or Make. I don't know how you pronounce it. And Sedna and another one. There's all these planets, and all of them that I was given as targets, I thought I was remote viewing Earth because I was seeing high-rise apartments. I was seeing freeways, highways. I was seeing cars. I was seeing humans. I was seeing shopping centers. And I was seeing all this stuff that we have here, but it looked like it was in the future. On every single one of these that I've remote viewed, I thought I was remote viewing Earth. I also was picking up on slavery, a lot of heavy slavery on TRAPPIST 1, actually. And Barry was asking me when I got done with the target, he said, well, what do you think it says? And I said, well, I think this is Earth in the future, but it's alarming because I'm seeing a lot of slavery and people being held against their will and made to work at this place. I told him that. And it actually lines up with a lot of the secret space program testimony as well on some of these different planets and stuff. So it's pretty wild.
So are you saying that they are obviously therefore now colonizing and like Elon is doing, checking to see how what's the word? If humans can live there and if it can grow there, I've had to blank with a word now. Okay. If it's compatible, if we're compatible. So they're checking for that. Now with these dwarf planets, obviously they've been doing the same thing then, because they've got to see what can be grown there, what obviously like they're doing with other planets. So what are we finding on these dwarf planets then? Can you see, I mean, in terms of climate, and that would make me think then again, because if it's a slave planet, they would have then again taken, as you said, through these secret space programs, taking kids, taking people, creating these little test tube babies or these incubator kids,
Clones.
and yeah, that's the thing. They're matching them with these dodgy spirits, and they're creating other like whole different life force, life species on planets.
Well, and yeah, for sure. Well, and when you dig into the missing people in these national parks across North America, a lot of the times you'll find that the people that are being taken or going missing, and I've remote viewed that too. We've talked about that. They're scientists, and some of them have specific genetics, like German, for instance. Okay. And scientists, physicists are a good percentage of some of these people that are going missing out of our national parks. Okay. So are those people and that's federal land. It's owned by the government. Are these people walking? And my team, my field research team has documented a portal and sent 2 of our teammates into it. Their heat signatures disappeared on film. We have it on video, and they walked back out of it, and they didn't know what it was, but they they described what the environment was like. The environment changed when they got up to this thing, when they were guided over to it. Both of them are deceased now. They both died. They got health problems, a radiation, there's a radiation spike. And so there's just connections. We're connecting dots over and over and over again with all this stuff. And what sounds so radical and so wild to the normal person, it just makes sense to me now that these things are going on, and there is life on other planets. It's just like Earth on some of these other dwarf planets.
I have no idea what Charles is speaking about here. Can you make any head or sense of that? Is that true?
That's part of the secret space programs, I believe. There's a heavy German presence, like Notwaffen and stuff. So, and I mean, just look at Antarctica. They've had a German base down there for quite a while. Schmotzies, as Bryce calls it, Schmotzies. They have, all these different bases and stuff down there. But breakaway civilizations. If you could listen to any of the testimony of any of the secret space program survivors, they'll talk about the German breakaway civilizations. Daryl James, who's a buddy of mine, he was part of, I think it was Notwaffen. And he was actually in the Navy. He was straight up really in the U.S. Navy. And he signed up to be part of the secret space program. And he's been on my show. The first time I met him was we spoke at a conference together, and he came up to me and was like, "Hey, Jessica, I would really like to talk to you about some of these wild chimeras and hybrids that I've encountered down during the secret space program underground in some of these facilities." And I brought him on the show. I mean, he's had experience with the real lizards, or one in particular. He came in contact with a gigantic reptilian. I mean, he worked with reptilians and stuff, and the spider human hybrid that was fed children, and things like that. So, but
spider. No. Let's just talk about the spider first, please, before you rush, because that sounds absolutely traumatic.
Yeah,
very traumatic. How big is a spider that eats children? I mean, I know that I've heard about these chimeras, spiders that live somewhere way down yonder, and they have the sound of a baby. They make the sound, I think it's like of a human or a baby, I think, calling. And then people will go and investigate, and then it's like they have a leg span of like 6 foot or something. I mean, that's a big ass spider, right?
Yeah, it's human size. And and Daryl also told me that human DNA can be spliced with anything, to make any kind of animal. He said it's very malleable, I think is how he described it.
Yeah.
And so he said that it's it's human size. It was human size, and to keep all of them in line, him and other people, they were always threatened that they would be fed to Max. Dan's in the chat today. Hey, Dan. Dan knows they called it Max. And they would keep children in cages. You hear about children being in cages and stuff. And I mean, these are some of our missing children, I'm assuming.
No. This is just too much. Are you saying they actually kept the children in cages and they fed these poor kids to this freaking spiders?
Yeah. According to Daryl's testimony, yes.
I mean, I can believe that. I believe it because, I mean, it's what I was saying to Jesse on the show the other day. One of the biggest things that these creatures of the night, the Lucies, are hiding is, of course, the child transportation, okay? So, my question then is, it's not just about the child transportation, because there can't be, I mean, there's 1% of those elites that like to munch on children, but unfortunately, like, where are all the other kids going to? That's the question, because it's not just the kids that are trafficked, right? But it's also the kids that are being bred in breeder programs, because, I mean, they've got these entire breeder programs underground where women or girls from the age of 10, as young as 10, are just popping out babies. And these babies are, I mean, I know they're there for sacrifices. These 9-month pregnancy terminations, those are sacrificed children. They're there to be sacrificed. So there's a whole huge market for that. It's disgusting, right? So there's a lot. I mean, and there are so many kids that are going missing with everything. They are not just being used for sex slaves for the elite. I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff going on, and that's what you say. It's fodder for these things. And yeah, it's actually very scary. Sure.
Terrible. It's really, it's hard to wrap your head around it, but yes. And I've heard a lot of testimony from a lot of these people who've been in these programs, and a lot of them are good friends of mine now. And yes, they're credible people. Okay. I've spent lots of time with a lot of these people, and super, super credible actually. Okay. When it comes to this stuff. And it's, I think that we're going to be hearing more about these things this year. Hopefully we're shining light on a lot of it. And hopefully we can. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think this is definitely, I mean, we do need to be absolutely aware. It's so good to know what we're dealing with, and that's what I've been saying. These things aren't coming out to chase us. It's our light that's waking them up. Our light, our consciousness is cracking that shell, and it's making them come out of the shadows. They've always been in the shadows. We've been stupid to the fact that they are there. So if we go in, instead of going, oh my God, they're coming to eat me or whatever it might be, let's run. Think about a predator. Yeah. If you're going to run from a predator, it's going to chase you. Right. That's the way it works. So when you stand up strong, there's a beautiful, and this is such a perfect example, because I've always wondered why, what it is about the African people that the West wants them trafficked, okay? Because African kids are very popular. And I do know it's their rhythm, it's their connection to the earth, it's their connection to nature. I mean, to hear African voices sing together, it reverberates through you. To hear African men on a war, going at war, it sends terrors through your spine like you have not in your entire existence felt before. It's something quite scary. That's the one thing about the African people especially. So they have this incredible ability to connect with animals. There's this one video in particular where this tour guide, he's taking his group of people and encounters this huge elephant bull, right? I mean, now anyone who's come within 20 meters of an elephant, I'll tell you, your life will be forever changed, because the energy of those creatures is on another level. Anyway, and they don't like nonsense. So, I mean, the next thing, this guy was, this elephant bull starts charging them. The tour operator, who has grown up with elephants his whole life, okay, gets out of the car, calmly walks up to this charging bull, right? And he stands in front of them and he communicates with this elephant bull. And for the next minute or two, this bull's ears are flapping and everything is going on. But he calmed this bull down to the point that the bull left. Wow. Now, that's the energy we want to meet these things with. That's the energy we want to meet them with. Not run, because if you're going to run, that elephant will chase you. Within 2 seconds, it would have lifted that car up like it was a matchbox. But if we face them and we say, right, you've been coming, and immediately you just go into God-like alignment with God mode, where you activate all your spiritual gifts. You know you're protected. You know you're in line. You know God is with you. You know your friends are with you. You know your heart chakra is shining so freaking far and so bright that it's blinding that thing. That's the energy with which we meet these things, not running away. If we run away and we are terrified, they're going to chase us. and they're going to catch you. So don't run. Stand. Shine your light. That's what we do. That's how we win this.
You are talking to the cryptid huntress. That's what I do. That's why I have not been eaten by a Bigfoot or a dogman yet. Okay, because that's
exactly.
what I do.
I know we've had that conversation before. We've had that conversation before. And I mean, that's truly it. I keep saying, this is nothing new age or airy fairy. It's a frequency thing. Your frequency has got to lift, or you're going to spiral. You either live in truth, God is truth, God is truth, God is the light, or you live the lie. That's right. And you go into the spiral, which is lies and deception and betrayal and fear. You know, fear has many different faces. Yeah.
I always tell everyone, I try to say it at least every show that I do on, publicly, I say, don't live in fear. Okay. Like we can't live in fear. It's not the frequency that we need to be on right now. And everything has been thrown at us this past few years to be living in fear, and our entire lives, not just the past few years, our entire lives, we're set up to just live in fear, to conform and to go along with the crowd. And that's for the NPCs and stuff. Okay. I guess they can, but we shouldn't. Okay. Just don't. NPCs. I mean, like what do you say? The pod people. I don't know if you know what those are. The background people and stuff. So I don't know. I'm just trying to, I'm not even really trying to do anything at this point. I'm just talking and having fun and putting my stories out there and my research and all that kind of stuff. But it does have an effect. Okay. Just us talking about these things. And if I like to say, like, if I can go out and chase Bigfoots and dogmen in the woods, whatever else is out there, you guys shouldn't have any fear either. Okay. If I can do it, you can do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the way it is. And I just think it's a wonderful time to be alive. A wonderful time to be alive. So I just want to celebrate life with you all in 2025. Let's be alive. Okay. Let's stay alive and not just live. Not just be alive. You got to live. Enjoy life. Have fun. Go out there. Do things that make you feel good, that you enjoy doing. That's how you raise your frequency. It's that simple. Yeah.
Yeah. Get out in the woods. That's a great way to raise your frequency. Is just go take your shoes off if you can, if it's not too cold or too hot. Okay. Go take your shoes off and go outside and walk in the grass. Go, lean against a tree. Go to the beach, go to a stream, go somewhere. Just get outside and hopefully there's not all this nasty fog and pollution everywhere. So get out to the woods, okay? And watch your back always. Go to your local parks, but don't take your eyes off your kids. Okay. If you go in a national park here in North America, please be safe. And but don't live in fear, but just put a leash on your kid or something. One of those things that we used to have that, like, you see parents, like, I would never take my kid to Six Flags, like an amusement park, because I'd be scared that he would run off. Okay. So until he gets older, but you can put like a harness on your kid and like you connect it to your wrist. I'm like, I think everybody should do that right now. Okay. Just do that. Do it to your grown kids too.
Yeah, they've got killer harnesses. I remember my sister went, they moved to Australia and her little boy was like 2 or 3 or something. And I've never seen that before. And the hardest thing at the airport, I'm like, what are you doing to your child? I'm reporting to the SPCA.
No. Oh man. I mean, desperate measures, right? I don't know. It's they say that even when you're like in the national parks or if you go hiking or something, just carry something on you where you can be located, like like a GPS spot device or something where they can locate you, even if you go somewhere by yourself.
I'm afraid if you fall down Noel's hole, you probably got no chance.
You'll end up on Venus. Yeah. You get on Mel's hole, you end up on Venus or on Trappist one, and you're going to be working in a gold mine. Okay. So watch out.
We'll see you in Venus, and hopefully Jessica can remote view you.
I'll remote, but don't worry. I can. We'll find you. We may not be able to get to you, but we can find you. And I can do some deep mind probes. We can still telepathically speak to each other. Okay. We'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's coming for us. You see, that's all part of our beautiful spiritual gifts, that we have this ability to naturally telepathically be able to communicate with each other. You know, that's coming too. That's coming too. So we just got to tune in and turn on.
Tune in and turn up. Yeah, turn up.
Exactly. And up that vibe, man. Jessica, it's really been great to have you again. And I look forward to having you again. And I'm wondering, is there anything you would just like to say in closing for everyone this evening?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me back. And it's always wonderful getting to come on here and talk with you. We have the best conversations. And we do. And so I want everybody to please don't live in fear. This is going to be a wild and wacky year. I feel it. And but hopefully it's all for the best, I hope. And continue to speak your truth no matter what. And yeah, just shine your light, everybody, and stay safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel, and watch your back, okay? But don't live in fear. Yeah, we're gonna be all right.
Keep your head on a swivel and stay safe, right? Yeah, that's very cool. I actually just wanted to put your stuff up here, so anyone wants to get hold of lovely Jessica, you know, the Cryptid Huntress, she's on there. I know. I see lots of our familiar faces over. It's so good to see so many of the familiar faces over on your show as well. So it's awesome to see you guys there. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And I will see you tomorrow with Jessie Zabota, Double Trouble with Jessie again. And then we have Dr. Dennis, who's in the chat tonight, on Thursday, and we are going to be talking about the Vril.
Ooh. I just brought that up, actually. That's wild, because I had my friend Daryl has experienced one of those real parasite, or one of those real lizards. They tried to put a parasite in his eyes.
That's so nasty.
Yeah.
I think they can get in everywhere.
Oh my God. I know, just that black. I don't want to be a member of the Black Eye Club. Those crazy people. What the heck?
I don't remember that. Be a Black Eye Club. Be a member of the Black Eye Club. Because isn't it something? I mean, okay, we're going to talk about it. Isn't it something that goes in your eye or something?
The proboscis or some kind of like parasite. Yeah, Daryl was actually, they were trying to hold him down to put one in his eye, and he got away from it. So at least I think he did.
Did he have a black eye? Did he have a black eye?
No.
Okay, then he got away.
He got away. He got away. But he said that he looked up and there was an actual lizard sitting on the table. He said there was a big lizard sitting on the table looking at him. So yeah, this is secret space program stuff. Yeah.
Well, you also I got a birthmark under my left eye. You have no idea how many times I've been accused. Shanty's part of the Black Eye Club. I'm like, really?
Oh my God.
I wish I was as important as people sometimes made me out to be. It's like, really? You think that I'm just a farm girl? Please, whatever.
Let them think that. It's all good. Their opinions are none of our business.
That's funny. Anyway, okay, Dennis, we are going to be hearing all about the vrully things that give me the creepy sheepies on Thursday. So look forward to seeing you all in the next couple of days. God bless you all. We were going to have Joanne Breeze on Friday. Joanne's in the chat. Joanne's unfortunately lost a family member, so we won't see her on Friday. Sending you lots of love, Joanne. And you all got to see our little baby kangaroos. I'm a kangaroo mummy now. My granddaughter Alika is a kangaroo mummy. Jojo Awaken is a kangaroo mummy. And Lisa D is a kangaroo mummy. We all adopted kangaroos from Australia. We've got kangaroos from Australia. We're so excited. And we're going to tell you guys lots about our kangaroos from Australia.
my God. I want a kangaroo.
Oh no, I'm the only one that's got a boy. You know, because Joanne and them have got this beautiful kangaroo sanctuary in Australia. Okay, and she's a survivor, and she now works with rescuing the joeys. And of course, and they've had terrible fires and things this past few weeks again, horrible. And so when they lose their moms, they then get given to Joanne at the sanctuary, and then we adopt the babies for a year. So we make sure they have enough mommy love. Joanne's, of course, the mommy for them all. We get videos, we get pictures, we get to see how they grow. So yeah, I've got Jonas. Mine is Jonas, and Alika, that's my granddaughter. Hers is not Lexi. There's Pixie and Dusty. Alika is Dusty, and then JoJo's is Lexi, and Lisa D is Pixie. So you see, we're going to show you all our baby kangaroos soon. And you're going to watch it grow with us. You're going to get so sick of our kangaroos, you're not going to know what to do with them. You're going to think you're living in Australia. I
love that.
You know that kangaroos were considered cryptids, eh? And they're incredible, these animals. They are incredible. Wow.
Yeah. Amazing. They're beautiful. And they look like, we joke around about, I've seen memes where kangaroos are just deer that have been to prison. Like deers. Okay. Because they look like they're a deer in the face, but then their bodies are all jacked up, you know, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you know what, as an animal communicator, these animals communicate on another level. They don't communicate the same. It's completely different energy.
They look like they're just kind of humanoid a little bit too, with their torsos and their arms and stuff. Yeah.
Charmaine wants to know how you would adopt a Joey. You know what I suggest? We're gonna I'm gonna put Joanne's information on the website, for her website and everything, for her farm in Australia, and you guys can check it out, support her in whichever way you can to take care of these little things. And then when the babies come in and they available for adoption, she would then let you know. So yeah, we've got a whole little kangaroo family.
That is so sweet.
I'm so excited. Hang on, wait. No, I'm going to look at my photo. Wait, let me just quickly see. I wonder if you can see. I wonder if I'll be able to show you through my my phone quickly. I want to just show you my little boy, so I can brag about my little boy. Jonas. Jonas is his name.
Oh, that is so sweet.
I don't know if you can see there. It's just his eyes sticking out. No, you can't. It's a little bit dark.
Oh, I can. He's in a blanket?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. He's in a little blanket pouch.
Oh. Yeah. There you are. Yeah, exactly. And it's quite a thing. I mean, you've got to have these pouches at certain degrees. They're incredible creatures. I mean, I'm learning so much about them with Jan, and we'll be letting you guys know more about that as well. So yeah, I just love them. They're adorable. You can see every time I talk about animals, I become like a child. I love animals ever since I could imagine. Okay, gosh, you're sucking the fingers, Joanne. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna show things soon. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for listening to me gush about the Joeys. And thank you for listening to Jessica. We will be back in a few weeks. And as I said, tomorrow we'll have Jessie and then Dennis on Thursday. Look forward to everybody, and God bless you all. Take good care of yourselves, and yeah, just be cool, be kind, be human. That's it. Cheers, everybody. Mwah.